Well, the Trojans with a 35-10 victory over the Oregon State Beavers in the Coliseum last Saturday. John Jackson would say this was definitely a game that was led by the defense. When you're holding Sean Mannion to under 200 yards passing, 4 for 13 passing in the second half for 16 yards, defense definitely did their job.
Yeah, definitely an impressive performance. I think that it went back to the old school defense that the Trojans like to use, which is first of all, you stop the run. Oregon State had 58 yards rushing. Then after that, you can focus one-dimensionally on the pass, and the Trojan secondary is just playing outstanding at this point. They're covering up receivers. They forced Manning to hold the ball a little bit longer than he wanted to, and of course that allowed the Trojans to also have a couple sacks on the evening as well, which was nice to see.
Speaking of sacks and speaking of coverage ability, I want to talk about Sua Cravens in the new role that we're seeing from him down close to the line of scrimmage. I think this game was probably the game that you saw for the most part. Oh, that's why they want to put Sua down there to do what he did.
Well, Sua is definitely a playmaker, and the one thing with having him down in the box, it allows him to, first of all, add some speed to the defense so he can get and make plays more often, but it also allows him to bait quarterbacks like he did with Sean Mannion on Saturday, where he sort of baited him to throw that ball, then he cut into the passing lane to make the interception. But also, I think that even prior to this week, you saw Sua make plays in the backfield for tackles for loss. Such a key component for this defense is to add some speed to the outside. Sua at that outside linebacker position, if you want to call it that, puts him in a playmaking role close to the line where he's just going to be more involved with this defense. So I like the move by Steve Sarkisian and Coach Wilcox to move him up there, and it's definitely a spot that he's sort of getting used to, but now, definitely paying dividends early.
And then another guy who is getting more and more playing time, looking more and more comfortable, number 2, Adoree Jackson. That play of the tip of the ball in the end zone to Leon McQuay, not many freshman corners are going to make that kind of instinctive play.
Well, Adoree had a great game overall. I mean, very few times I think that his receiver even catch the football, but that one play in the end zone was phenomenal. I mean, the one thing you have to appreciate about Adoree is not only is he a great cover guy, which means his body is in position, but he also has the top end speed to run with some of these receivers. You've seen him cover even going back to Ty Montgomery and Stanford week in week 2. But the biggest thing is a lot of people don't recognize he has great vertical jump ability. He can really get off the ground. And so although he's not the tallest of corners, the ability to go up and make plays on the ball, especially on that ball like you saw in the Coliseum on Saturday, the way able to go up and make plays like that is just remarkable. After the game, he said, I just went up and tipped it back in, not intentionally tipping it, for an interception. I said, hey, you got to lie about those things. Don't ever admit those things anymore.
He's a freshman. He'll learn. Then I want to go to the final play of the first half, a play that is near and dear to a receiver's heart. That Hail Mary, special to see that work when it works like that.
Well, the funny thing about the Hail Mary was a design play. I mean, everybody has it in their playbook, don't get me wrong. But the way that they ran the play, if you go back and look at the film, a lot of people don't realize that Darius Rogers, who's the receiver that ended up catching the Hail Mary and taking it in for the touchdown, lined up on the left side of the formation when the Hail Mary was designed to go to the right side. So it was really a sort of a good play, just the way it was drawn up in terms of having Darius start from the left, so he sort of comes in sort of, not recognizable to the guys that are getting ready to go for the jump ball. He sort of snuck into the middle. Cody Kessler did a nice job of buying some time, but he sort of snuck in the middle, and so nobody really got a body on him or anything, and he just sort of snuck up and got it like he's like going for a rebound, coming out of nowhere to get a rebound. It's sort of Dennis Rodman-like.
and it worked. Did you ever have any Hail Mary plays in your career?
I was the Mary of the Hail Mary. I was around, not the hail part where everybody wanted to catch the ball coming out of the air. I wasn't around for that part. I was around for the tips if they dropped it or that kind of stuff. I was around to pick up the extras. I didn't go up and get it.
And then the second half for the Trojans, the running game I thought really got going. 18 carries in the third quarter alone for 81 yards. And one of the guys that we really saw down on the offense line that I thought was interesting, Andre Walker with his first real playing time of the year in there at right tackle. What can that do to that rotation on the line?
Well, the first thing we've talked about all year, how this offensive line is inexperienced and, there are going to be things that they haven't seen before. Well, Andre Walker has seen those things, right? He was a returning starter from last year. So to add him to that group, first of all, gives him some experience and a veteran guy up there, but also a guy that's sort of been there, done that, and sort of seen what's happening. So he's not going to be fooled by all the twists and stunts and blitzes that all these other defenses are running. So the fact to have him up there is great. He played outstanding as far as what I saw in the game. There's some pancake blocks that were mixed in there, and there was more of a solid offensive line effort from that group as a whole. So it's good to have him back.
And then one of the things that Sarkisian did was keeping the starters and the offensive line in there through the fourth quarter to teach them how to finish games. There was a message to what Sark was trying to do.
Well, exactly. And the first message is we're going to beat our opponents into submission. If we ever have the opportunity, we're going to make sure that we run the ball and pound it on them, especially into the fourth quarter. Remember, offensive line, as much as it is a skill, it's a mentality. And the mentality has to be that you're going to finish people. You got to start the game. You're going to sort of massage. We'll spa for a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm going to deliver the knockout punch. And I think that that's the message that he sent to his offensive line by playing them in the entire game, by keeping them in the game. It's how to finish. And that's really what I saw from this team, especially down the stretch, is this offensive line went out there and they finished games. When Oregon State knew they were going to run the football, they knew it was the end of the game was over, we weren't going to throw the ball anymore. With that point, Oregon State had a decision to try to stop the run, and Steve Sarkisian, that offensive line, said, no, you're not. We're going to drive the ball down the field for another touchdown.
And then one of the things I want to talk to on the offense, Cody Kessler did a good job of spreading the ball around. 9 different receivers caught passes. But one of those receivers is kind of guy who's emerging a little bit more, and that's a Janae Harris. Not only having him get in there, but what does that allow the Trojans to do with Nelson Aguilar?
Well, the first thing is it provides a lot of flexibility because the Janae will play in that slot position, which allows him to work like you saw behind the linebackers in those windows in the middle of the field, sort of a little bit like Wes Welker, and Peyton Manning uses Wes Welker and that type of role. And then what that does for Steve Sarkisian is allows him to move Nelson outside if he wants to. Remember, up to this point, Nelson's been that slot guy. Well, now if a Janae being productive in that spot, if Sark wants to move Nelson Aguilar back out wide, he can. He has a guy that's productive on the inside. A Janae blocked very well as well in that game. So I think that adding him to the mix just makes this receiving core even deeper.
A quick twist to recruiting right now. You're going to be seeing Serra versus Bishop Amat on Friday night, your alma mater. Obviously, Serra having a lot of Trojan recruits. John Houston, Rasheem Green, a junior C.J. Pollard, who you know well. You played with his father, Marvin. But Amat has a couple guys out there, a couple juniors who have USC offers, including a kid named Tyler Vaughns, who's very impressive right now.
Yeah, well, I love Tyler Vaughns, the way he plays the game. A great presence. He plays with a great air about him, a lot of confidence. He's exactly what, you want to have in your program. The versatility, the skill level, he's able to go up and get balls. He's aggressive. He just plays the game hard, and that's what impressive to see. Now he's going to be going against some very talented players in Serra, come Friday night. So that'll be a great matchup to see. But I love Vaughns, the way he plays the game. He has the attitude, everything you want as a Trojan.
Going to be a lot of fun for you to watch that one. For John Jackson, this is Garry Paskwietz from the USC campus, ESPN.